Well, here we go again, and we're going to attempt to continue with the Heart Center Awakening sequence of videos here. And again, just before I get rolling, I want to mention that there are going to be many variations of Heart Center Awakening that are going to take place with individuals based on who they are, their belief systems, their environment, their upbringing, and their input. So please keep in mind that whatever I say or share here in this video is not written in stone, nor is it intended to set a precedent as to how your experiences may unfold. This is general information, experiences of myself and also experiences that other people have shared with me. Okay, so everybody keep that in mind. And the part that I want to get into specifically here today is the aspect of, as you have made significant changes in your personality, all through the efforts of that higher aspect of yourself, which you had no control of. One of the biggest phases that takes place is initially when you have a heart center awakening. Ideally, the personality goes through the changes, but at some point, the mental body and the emotional body have to go through significant changes also. And as many of you already know, the human species as a whole is dictated by our emotions. We can be perfectly sane in 1 second, and then someone hits our button, we get emotional, and we can turn success into chaos or disaster and do something by expressing our emotions and letting them run wild, and they get away on us. The next phase I want to talk about is from my observation and opinion, probably one of the most important ones. And that is the assimilation or the evolution, if we can put it in those terms, of the solar plexus or the emotional body. Now, as you well know, most of us can be very emotional depending upon the trigger or the button that's being pushed, and we react accordingly. What takes place with a lot of people, and there will be variations of this experience, but initially what's happening is you're going to go through the creation of what I'm going to call, for lack of a better expression, the creation of a new template. And that new template simply means that what you're going to do is you're going to express your emotions or your feelings in a different way. And I know a great many of you have already made this transition. You may not know exactly how to put it into words, so hopefully I can do a reasonably good job of it. But what happens is, I'm going to use myself as an example here initially in the beginning because that's probably the best way to go. A few years back, I started I'm kind of the person when anything new at a spiritual level or anything new period is going to happen. I'm kind of a spring person, and that's when these exciting things happen. So I had a period of 3 consecutive years in a row where in the springtime, usually starting about April and running into April, May, and June, I had a rather strange phenomenon start to take place. And what it was basically I developed a very bad case of a spinning sensation down in the belly area, the solar plexus area, accompanied with nausea-like feelings and spontaneous bursts of emotion from no apparent source or no apparent trigger that would just explode through me. Well, it didn't take a rocket scientist and me very long to figure out that something was going on that had to do with the solar plexus chakra. And the whole of this went on for, as I said, about 3 months, and then it stopped. And then the next year, the same pattern kicked in again. And the year after that, the same pattern kicked in again. And what I understand is, depending upon the person and their personality and how it's evolved, where they are, their environment, their condition, and their bodily health, there's going to be a lot of variations here, and the experiences can be a little bit different, or they can be modified, or they can be expressed a little strangely by initial type of experiences that a person may have. But basically what happened is, because I'm very sensitive, and I'm also probably a very sensitive empath, during the time, especially in the third year of this experience that I was having in April, I noticed when the nausea started in the third year, I could feel a stream, if I can call it that, or energy coming up from about the belly button area, moving up into the heart center, and the heart center would get big, well, bigger, okay? It would be a kind of a pulsating or radiating type of energy, and this would go on for days at a time. And then it ended around the, I don't know, the end of June. And after that, I started to notice something different. I noticed that my feelings or emotional feelings, or whatever way you want to label it, like, you know, things that would get me going, or, you know, somebody could push my button with, or things would get me angry, or, you know, something I would watch on television, and things that I thought were important in three-dimensional reality to, you know, stay stable. Suddenly they started disappearing. And I started expressing, I know this might sound strange to some people, but I started expressing, for example, anger, but differently. It was really weird when it first started because I could feel myself getting angry, but it was different kind of anger because it wasn't coming from the emotional center anymore. It was coming from the heart center. So therefore, based on the changes in my personality, my reaction was totally different. And it seemed like the anger would come up, and almost like there would be a self-analysis, or a standing back and viewing the situation type of thing. You know, like before, when you get angry, you explode. You just get angry and upset, and you just blurt out whatever you want. Well, in this case here, as the anger was coming up, it seemed as though there was a kind of like a, how do I describe it, a separation, or a different state of mind, or a different state of consciousness coming into play. And it was almost as if I was stepping back from myself and analyzing the situation that was going on, and feeling how different it was, but having a whole new perspective on it, of understanding why I was doing. This could happen with any other kind of emotion, sadness, melancholy, depression, anxiety, and I'm still doing that kind of stuff today. Actually stepping back and not getting into the emotional state of feeling it, but in what I'm going to call the spiritual state, through the heart center of feeling it, but addressing it differently. And I started to realize I was going to a school. And I was going to a school of introspection, I believe is a word that would be appropriate. But I'm doing it at the heart center chakra. And every time that I would do it, I would notice that the effect, or the feeling, would lessen and lessen and lessen even more through the heart center, until finally it became to the point where it wasn't important at all. And like I said, this went on for quite a period of time, and then immediately after that, there was a significant change in the chakra system. Because today, now, to put it to you this way, I don't feel like I'm part of three-dimensional physical reality much anymore. I simply don't relate to a lot of the things that people think are important. Um, I look at things very differently in the sense of I see people nowadays and they're so wound up in protecting their culture and their language and their politics and their religious belief system. I just don't find it of any purpose. Like, it's only here, it's temporary. Why get so wrapped up in it? I just find myself detached from it in that way. And pretty much everything else, for that matter of fact. The things that get other people excited don't excite me anymore. They don't. What excites me now is just spiritual growth and being of service and helping to other people, which is, for some might say, well, that's a pretty limited perspective. I don't feel that way. To me, that's the joy of living. That's kind of the way I feel. So anyways, as I was saying, I did notice that after that particular experience, I experienced something that was unusual in the sense of the heart center, is I didn't feel anything for a while. It was like I didn't feel no energy movement in the upper chakra. I didn't feel the stream coming from the solar plexus. I didn't even feel my heart center at all. It's like it was gone. And I do know something else, and I've learned this since, that what happens is every time you go through any kind of energetic shift in the body, be that it is the assimilation or the breakdown of the solar plexus chakra or any other chakra for that means, there's a period where the body goes through a sense of adapting to it. And then you don't feel that feeling anymore. It's gone because your body's gotten used to it. It's like a fish in a fishbowl of water. Does the fish know it's swimming in a fishbowl? No, it doesn't. It's just there. And that's what happens, and this is what happens with a lot of people, is once the body and the rest of the systems have adapted to the particular energy flow that they're experiencing, you don't feel it anymore until you have the next change coming along. So if you can remember that pattern, you can go back with yourself and take a look at your heart center activation and all of the stages that you personally went through over a period of time. And you should be able to tell exactly where you are in your spiritual growth if you do that. Eliminate the time factor, put the pieces together, and you should be able to see exactly where you are. And then you should see, based on your personality growth, you should know by now areas that still need to be brought into balance or change. And you learn that through the reflection and the dream state training which you're getting. And this is significant in relationship to chakra growth also. Because what happens is this is, as you know, there are people on the planet right now who have experienced a significant change in the heart center chakra so that it goes into this kind of a thing. And when this happened to me, and this was after these experiences, I went through a period and I had a lot of other people get a hold of me and discuss the same thing with me. And I do thank those people because, it's like so many people are having so many valid and very important things going on with the heart center awakening and the rest of the chakras being assimilated, but they don't feel comfortable in talking about it because people will think they're weird or something, or whatever. They don't have anybody to talk to, period. So I get a lot of input in that way. So what I'm doing is just sharing some of it, of my own experiences, and that with the other people also. So after that, I had an experience where I had a vast opening take place in the middle of my chest, and there was no spin or rotation to it like there was before. There was no warmth sensation. There was no heaviness in the chest. It was just like there was a large canyon opened in the middle of my chest, and it expanded right from under my chin when it first started to just about down to my navel. And it was just like an open V type of thing. And all of the energy just kept flowing in that direction on an outward kind of expression and inward when I would breathe. And I've had other people mention the same thing. And then another phase that takes place with the heart center development is I haven't had a chance to really look this up because I don't spend a lot of time looking up information on the internet every time something happens to me. I've taken a different kind of a route. Instead of reading other people's material and experiences and books and stuff like that, I like to get validation from other people, literally through hearing them talk about the experience, or I'll bumble across somebody who will have a similar experience and they'll tell me about it. That's what I call real validation. I don't find that reading other people's information is good. It's the same thing, just to kind of throw in a little kind of off the topic here for a minute. When I'm doing these YouTube videos, what happens is everything is spontaneous when it comes. I just have a topic in mind and then it comes more or less. And what happens is I don't go around on YouTube, for example, and look for what other people are doing, per se. And I don't do that for a reason, because I don't want other influences to influence my own experience as it's unfolding. Now, that's just me. But when it's time for me to get validation, you know, I could be up on YouTube and I could see it in my feed or whatever, and somebody else would have the same information I'm talking about. I'd find it on Facebook or some other social media outlet where it would come into play. So that's kind of the way that I did it. Now, this canyon-type vortex of energy that I was talking about still continues occasionally. I can feel it, but it seems to happen when I make a connection with a person of similar vibration, if I can put it that way, and it doesn't do it for everyone. And what I've also discovered here, and this is interesting, even though I'm talking about my experiences and experiences of others, I am finding that there are people, and this is not meant to be judgmental or critical in any way, shape, or form, but I now have the information that has been given to me that not everyone who has a heart center awakening is going to complete the journey of what some people call ascension, be it through spiritual ascension or physical ascension in that way, because at a soul level, they've only chosen or chose to go a certain amount or to a certain level and then stop there. I've seen that coming up into play also, so don't anybody take that the wrong way, all right? Somebody's going to say, well, everybody's going home. Yes, we're all going home, but we're not all going home at the same time, unfortunately, for whatever reasons. Just want to put that in. The other thing that I have noticed and other people have had happen also is I have noticed in that heart center activation, that canyon type experience that I've been having, where all of the chakras seem to be assimilated into one gigantic chakra in the middle of the chest. At another point, it actually reached right down to the tailbone and up above my head where I could feel it. And of course, again, once the body physical and the rest of the bodies adapt, you lose the awareness of the feeling that it was there, and that's what happened. Now, to continue on here, and I'm just going to kind of, I don't want to make this a long video here. There's another thing that happened that perhaps others can give me information on, of which I don't have at this particular point in time. I experienced, and I know of other people who have done the same thing, what I'm going to call a pillar of light. And the pillar of light extends right through the middle of the body, going down through to the floor of the ground and out above the top of the head. And this seemed to come after this heart center activation of the canyon type feeling in the middle of the chest. So again, what's taking place here now is at this particular point, what's happening is the information that's been coming about the heart center chakra has been presented to me in a way that it's a visual presentation of what might be called the descension, I believe is the word that I would use, of something that a lot of you call the light body. And the body of light is created and can be assimilated into the physical body by, initially, what's called the 12 chakra system. Now, I want to get into this for a minute, but I have to jump backwards. everyone at some point, whether you believe me or not, I don't really care, is going to be templated with the 12 chakra system. Now, based on the fact, and I'm going a little off topic here, but this needs to be put in here. The 12 chakra system, for me, came into reality about 25 years ago. And I was having a very difficult time with physicality, mobility, and I was having walking issues and every other problem. And I had a very good friend who was a good clairvoyant. Called her up. I said, come on over. I said, I need your assistance here. She did. And I said, I'm going to lay down on the healing table. I want you to take a look at me and tell me what you see. She was an exceptionally good clairvoyant. And I said, just tell me what you see. I don't want to know what you feel. So she did that. And what she told me was, she said, I had another body, a silhouette body, floating about a few centimeters up above my body. And it had a 12 chakra system in it, in the body. All right. Some people seem to think that the 12 chakra system entails chakras outside of the head. No. All of the 12 chakras are entailed within the physical body, because it's the 12 chakra system that is going to allow individuals to move into those higher states of consciousness that I was talking about in this via the heart center development. That's what the 12 chakra system is for. It is for that original purpose. The 7 chakra system is now redundant in itself, because it has already taken us to as far as it can go. And the other chakras that are coming into play, 2 or 3 of them have been simply shut down for obvious reasons. And there are actually 2 new ones that have been installed within that silhouette body. So as it came in, and she said, she's looking at it and she says, yeah, she said, it's trying to make a integration with your physical body and you're fighting it. Perfectly true, because that's exactly what I was doing. I am a tough nut to crack, and I do everything the hard way in a lot of cases. So in any case, again, I'm not happy with that, so I want a second opinion. So I have another friend, call him up. He's an excellent clairvoyant also, did the same thing, come on over, told me the same thing. And then I realized that the 12 chakra system was a templated sheath body type of thing, and part of the evolutionary process is everyone was going to incorporate it, but how far they went with it was going to be dictated to by the heart center development initially in the beginning, and the overall personality that gave birth to itself within that person. Okay, so let me put it in simple terms. Pay attention. Your spiritual growth and evolutionary process is dictated to in direct relationship to your personality growth and the finer qualities of spirituality, which are, for example, compassion, gentleness, sincerity, what's another one? All of those finer parts of yourself, authenticity, okay? The rest of them you can add in there, about 11 or 12 of them, okay? They make up the package. And all of these are encompassed in the 12 chakra system. So anyways, getting back to where we are now, my days of doing energy work are long since past. I now just teach it with our radiant energetics technique. But I have had youngsters that I've worked on. Now, when I say youngsters, I'm talking about kids 6 or 7 or 8, and teenagers. And guess what? They have already have the 12 chakra system installed, lack of a better expression, into their etheric bodies, and I could see them and feel them, that they were there. And they're not active, they're there, and they will become active as the personality begins to develop. So again, I say, everyone's spiritual growth is dictated to direct relationship to their personality. So when you see people in the spiritual community, and you will see a lot of people in the spiritual community who have had, excuse me, active heart center awakening. But what happened is the personality did not reach that state of spiritual. Let me have a little drink of water. Tea, I mean. Okay, they don't have that spiritual maturity to go along with the personality. Why? That is not for me to say, and it's not a judgment. It is what it is. And you have to have that to continue the heart center development that's going along at this particular point. The other thing that I want to mention here is this, is we're moving into a phase right now where what I believe is, and this is just my personal reflection and the input of a few other people, where there are quite a number of people who are at or very close to the point of spiritual development where the dream state training has indicated to them traveling in different timelines, moving into different dimensions, and experiencing beings and entities that are not physical. All of this is possible because of the 12 chakra system. However, the purpose ultimately for the 12 chakra system is to be assimilated in the same way, okay, pay attention, in the same way that I said the solar plexus or the emotional body was assimilated up into expressing through the heart center chakra. Okay? This is an important video. You need to pay attention here. So having said that, the 12 chakra system in this canyon type that I'm talking about, other people use many different names for it. I keep it as simple as possible. The 12 chakra system gives you access to those particular timelines and dimensions as they exist. The personality that you've developed and evolved through your heart center awakening in the beginning gives you the consciousness, the personality, the state of mind, the state of being, to be able to do this and not turn into a nut job or a Fruit Loop or being diagnosed as a schizophrenic or whatever else they call them by definition. And this is what's going on. So again, I mentioned, because we don't have a school where we can go to, or we don't have enough people who know enough about it to share, we have a lot of people who are getting lost to the unfoldment of the evolutionary process and the heart center awakening, so they don't complete or can't complete the scenario that they're going through, which is unfortunate, but that will change. So now we're at a point where, at this particular point, what happens is this, and I can say this with great conviction. Anything that can come into your consciousness, you can access through one of the chakras if necessary. And if that's necessary, what you will do is you can then, it's almost as if the chakras disappear through the assimilation of this canyon, but then when you're going to do some time shifting or shape shifting, or you're going to do some traveling into different timelines or dimensions, that particular chakra, for those who are sensitive enough, you'll actually feel it. All right? And in some cases, when you're having a trip into the etheric planes and you're having a sexual encounter with some being or entity and you're having a lot of fun, you'll actually be able to feel it within the physical embodiment, because the chakra will be felt. You'll actually be able to feel it before, during, and probably afterward in this sense. So what it's doing is, again, you have the personality development. Are you going along with me? Are you understanding what's taking place here? What I'm saying to you is basically, we are not going to be allowed to explore what's really out there, all right, that science hasn't proven yet and probably never will for another 100 years, that we're going to be able to experience it, but we have to have the personalities that can be able to handle it and know exactly what's going on. So this is what we're experiencing in these different timelines and dimensions. So therefore, you have to have the appropriate energy vibration and the established chakra system, which you have, relatively speaking, command of. All right, so another important point is during, and I said this in the other video that I did, during the initial phase of the heart center awakening, you didn't have any control of what was going on. Your life went to shit, and it wasn't diddly squat you can do about it. But as your personality begins to change to whatever level or stage it goes to, is decided by you, not by anybody else, by your soul, how far you're going to go in this evolutionary process, in this timeline experience for you. So therefore, you will access more the more you evolve and the more your personality becomes less attached to things here in 3D. All right? I'll give you an example of how less attached I am to things. Here in Canada, we have 2 languages. Okay? We spend billions of dollars every year making sure that 2 languages are there because people are so involved with protecting their culture. Yet we have Indigenous people here in Canada, and their language comes first. But we spend billions protecting 2 languages that we brought from Europe. To me, doesn't make any sense. The other thing that I see is we have people, by definition, who are so engrossed in religion and protecting their religious beliefs or their cultural beliefs, which I see so unimportant. Because in reality, as you go through the heart center awakening, you become more and more androgynous. You are less and less attached to the meaningless things and programs and belief systems that are involved on the planet. Now again, keep in mind, this is just me. This is just me. But I understand at this particular point, to move into higher states of consciousness, you have to move away from the limiting states of consciousness that have been instilled within you. That's what this process of the heart center chakra awakening is for, to transform you. Okay? The heart center awakening is literally a transformation opportunity at an evolutionary level that is expedited to a very rapid pace if you can handle it. And if your soul has dictated it's going to happen for you. So, here you go. So like I said, some of the things that excite all of you don't excite me anymore at all. I just don't see the point. Why get in all the huff and all this kind of stuff? All right. The condition of the planet and the fighting and everything else that's going on between cultures and ideologies and philosophies is totally ridiculous. It's all about greed and power. And as long as you have greed and power and this type of thing going on and the ways of manifesting it, we're always going to have this problem. Fortunately, the heart center chakra awakening that's now going on has influenced enough people that all of this stuff going on in the world right now today is a beautiful thing. It really is. Because we don't understand something or make any changes until we're backed into the corner and someone is hitting us stoutly on the head with a stick. The same thing with the climate. The climate on this planet has been produced by us. And I don't mean through just the use of fuels and oil products. Pay attention, here it comes. We have on this planet going into 7.5 to 8 billion people. And 8 billion people create a wave type energy form with their thoughts and their consciousness. Take a look around you at what's going on with your neighbors. Take a look around you at what's going on the news. Take a look around you at what's going on in other countries. Billions of people magnify and intensify anger, emotions, feelings, with complete lack of self-control. And then you ask yourself this question: why is the climate change happening? Because we from here and here created it. Some of you will think I'm nuts. Have a great day.